Hi everyone. Channel 4 in the UK has been a broadcast TV station. It's been around since 1982, so 35 years. And in those 35 years, every single year, they have interviewed the Prime Minister at their party conference. Every single year. But this year is different. This year, Theresa May has denied them an interview. Jon Snow has tweeted this out just to explain the situation.
For 29 years, I've been anchoring Channel 4 News' coverage at the party conferences. And at every party conference, we've had access to the leader of the day. From Mrs. Thatcher, through Tony Blair, through Gordon Brown, any number, right up to the present day, including Mrs. May. But this year, after weeks of negotiating to try and have access for an interview, she has steadfastly refused to speak to Channel 4 News. Public service broadcasting depends on access to the politicians of the day to maintain a healthy democracy.
So she denied them for the first time since 1982. As I said there, all the way back to Margaret Thatcher. So why is that? Why have they denied them an interview this year? It's really interesting. They gave no excuses there. He gave no excuse as to why Theresa May has denied them an interview for the first time in their history. Channel 4 is a public broadcaster, as Jon Snow said. You know what? Do you remember this about 5 weeks ago? I did a video on this. You might remember it. Take a look.
Mrs. May, you're about to visit
This was her last interview with Channel 4.
Ireland. You were active in politics in the 70s and 80s. What did you do to help release Nelson Mandela?
Well, I think what is important is what the United Kingdom did and some of the actions...
What did you do? What did you do? Did you go on protests?
Now, the reason he's grilling her there, just to remind you in case you didn't see my video, the reason he's grilling her is because the Tories weren't favourable to Nelson Mandela in the 70s and 80s. In fact, he was labelled a terrorist by the Tories. In fact, Margaret Thatcher called him a terrorist while Jeremy Corbyn was protesting apartheid and getting arrested outside the embassy. You may remember the picture. So this is why he's grilling her over and over, and he gets her in a real mess.
Did you get arrested outside the embassy? Did you boycott South African goods? Did you do anything?
I think you know full well that I didn't go on protests, Michael. But what is important is the work that the United Kingdom, the work that the United Kingdom government did to ensure that it was able to give support where that support was needed, to enable
Mrs. Thatcher believed that Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Were you a loyal Conservative Party member? Did you think the same thing?
What was important was the support that the UK government was giving at the time, often support behind the scenes, but in other ways too, to ensure that we saw the result that we did in relation to the ending of apartheid here in South Africa.
A government led by a woman who thought that Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Now you're going to be going to Robben Island. Aren't you going to be feeling guilty that at the time Nelson Mandela was on Robben Island, you, Theresa May, did nothing to help his release, you personally?
What I will be feeling, I think, when I go to Robben Island, is
shame,
to
remorse,
recognise the immense statesmanship of a man who spent so many years incarcerated, and when he came out of that incarceration, had that breadth of vision and that calm approach that has enabled South Africa to be built into the country that it is today. A country with which we, the United Kingdom, have long historical links, but for obvious reasons, but also with which we can forge a new partnership for the future.
So that was the last interview she did with Channel 4, and now she's refusing to do another one. You tell me whether those two things are connected. Seriously, you tell me. I'm just putting it out there. These two things, you know. Compare that interview. By the way, Michael Crick that was, and he got universal acclaim for that interview. I remember I was very appreciative of what he was doing there. I like it when our reporters hold politicians to task, hold power to task, especially on their record and their history. And he got universal acclaim, Michael Crick did, for that interview. And now they've been denied another one. And Jon Snow is not a bad griller of of politicians. You can like him or hate him or say he's a good reporter or a good journalist or not, or whether he's a journalist or not. But he does a good job of badgering politicians. Compare that. That was on the end of August, that interview Michael Crick did. Compare that to this. You might remember this. A couple of weeks later, BBC did a softball interview with Theresa May. Just total softball interview, no hard questions on Brexit or anything like that in that interview. And it was accused of being filmed in soft focus to make her out in a good light. BBC have had another interview. That Ma had an interview the weekend with her. Channel 4 didn't. Just thought to do a little video just to highlight, two things that may or may not be connected. I'll let you decide. If you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and click the bell below. Independent voices like mine are being censored across all social media platforms by large tech companies at the behest of governments who don't like the fact that people like me are out there getting more popular, telling the truth and ruining their propaganda. Unfortunately, they come after us monetarily as well, so we have to rely on our audience to fund our work. So if you can support independent media, do so. I've left a link to my Patreon down below, and you can sign up to it for as little as $1 a month, and every dollar helps. I cannot stress that enough. Thanks very much for your support. Until next time, peace and take care.